Peace to everyone. I was recently added to Muscogee Nation Tribal Health Information Facebook group. It's actually pretty cool. It's not that I've learned a lot about the health system through that. I actually have my own experiences while living back there. But in general, it has some good information. What's very interesting about the group is all the comments that have nothing to do with the health, but rather are focusing more on the cultural element. Now, the funny thing about that is that these are questions that would seem more suited to other existing Muscogee type groups. The problem is the stuff isn't addressed in the other groups. Like, what clan do I belong to? So, I belong to the Turtle Clan, Muscogee. Okay, that's what I am. That's why I've got a turtle on my flute that I'm making. So, and I'm not the only one who's done that, by the way, who's used their own clan totem as the block on their flute. So, that's my clan, right? I had to find out through like second cousins of mine, same matrilineal descent. I had to piece together through my own family stories through my mom and their family stories from their grandmother, who is my grandmother's sister, to find out what clan I belong to. So my mother's mother's mother and their mother's mother's mother was the same woman. That's how that is how you know you're the same clan in the Muscogee tradition. So what's happening is on this group, I've seen posts like someone saying, "Oh, I'm Turtle Clan." It's like, "Oh, cool, I am too," right? I put that. People are putting, I'm Wind, I'm Muscogee, which is raccoon. There's, people are listing what clans they belong to, hopefully correctly, by the way. Let me get into that. I'm having to comment a lot on this page because while I may not be a fluent Muscogee speaker, and I may never have been to a green corn, and therefore I was not raised in the ceremonial traditions of our people, the truth of the matter is I know quite a bit compared to many people that live in Oklahoma who live near this stuff that I don't. But I still know a lot more about this stuff than apparently a lot of people that are living basically next door to it. And that's kind of sad. That bothers me. So I feel the need to chime in and try to give information to people, whether they want it or not. I'm going to comment if I see something that's like certainly incorrect. I'm going to call it out. It may hurt the feelings of the person that says it that I'm responding to. Doesn't matter. It's about more than them or me. It's about everybody. Okay? Because if you're a Muscogee person and you're looking to understand the these cultural nuances, then you have to get good information. If you don't get good information, you're going to think all this weird stuff that ends up not being true. It's like I've commented in the past, I've made groups. I'm getting some, not groups, sorry, I made videos. Like, will the real Yuchi Indians please stand up? And I'm getting some comments on that, which that's a video I made like probably a couple months ago. I still get comments on other videos. I'm grateful for that because it's important for us to get information, to get feedback, to share ideas. It's a great thing to do that. But sorry, my voice sucks. I'm still at the end of being sick. I should be better. I should be better in 2 days. Okay. But so excuse my voice. But you have weird information getting out there. You have incorrect information. And you have people saying, well, what if Morgan Freeman, okay, well, there's plenty of people who are black who have, Indian ancestry How do we know the Morgan Freeman? One sec. Defective dishwasher, and my son turned it on. Unfortunately, I gotta fix that now so it doesn't run all night long and create a flood in our kitchen. Anyways, okay, so yeah, there might be a bunch of folks who are black who have Indian blood. Okay, like Seku Gentle thinks he's Yamasi. Anyways, I'll do a video on that in the future. I can only take him so seriously, but even though I think he's probably a really good person, he's almost certainly a fraud. But almost certainly, I'm like 99.9% sure, okay, because of the things that I actually know about Muscogee culture. Okay, that's very important. But people say, okay, well, there's a lot of blacks that have Indian blood. So, you know, I've seen people that look like Morgan Freeman in the Cherokee tribe of, like, you know, back east. And I'm just going, okay, well, that may be the case, but how do we know that, you know, those Cherokee don't have white and black blood and therefore look like Morgan Freeman? It doesn't mean that Morgan Freeman actually has Indian blood. People are questioning the that genealogy show, I think was what was it called? Do You Know Who You Are? Whatever, they bring the celebrities on. Anyways, so it's not about whether someone could have the ancestry, it's do they have the ancestry? That's the big question. I get into all my stuff about the Freeman stuff and whether someone actually has Indian blood or if they don't, and they had citizenship because of being brought in because of 1866 and all that. Anyways, you know, so for me, it's about getting correct information out there. It's very, very crucial to have correct information so you can make a correct judgment or an informed judgment regarding these issues. Well, getting back to the issue of clans, I've seen on other Creek groups, like, was it the Tama tribe, I believe. There's a woman referred to as their clan mother. What does that mean? Because Mr. Seku Gentle of the Yamasi, or the Yamase, who says things like Muscogee instead of Muscogee, right? He has all these weird sort of root words he pretends to use. I'm alleging. He uses the term clan mother for the women in his family that, again, he alleges are Yamasi, right? Are the Tama tribe or Tama tribal town, I think it was the Florida Muscogee Creek Nation, they're like a state recognized but not federally recognized, although they do, I think their ancestors are, they kind of got accepted at the same time that the Porch Band did. So they got money because I believe they can actually trace back to the, what was it, the Parson Abbott rule? It's late. I've had a long day. I'm trying to remember things correctly, specifics. But anyways, yeah, the Tama tribal town, like when they say clan mother, they refer to one woman as a clan mother. The problem is, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by clan? Okay, so I'm on this Facebook group and I'm commenting to people who don't know what tribal town they belong to. I tell them, look at the Campbell roll. Look at the Final Dawes roll. Look at the Campbell roll, which is the foundation of the Final Dawes roll. It'll actually list the grandparents, or it'll list your ancestors and their parents. It'll list their tribal towns. All that stuff is actually there. And again, the Campbell roll is not perfect because some of that is, you know, like my great grandmother is not Taplaco, right? And then her mother's Greenleaf, and then the grandmother was Taplaco, which is not actually true either. You look at my great great grandmother's sister's roll, and it shows their mother as being Greenleaf, like they both are Greenleaf. The sisters are. You look at the earlier 1882 roll and the 1895, 1890, and it's like they're all Greenleaf. So, you know, you use the Campbell roll as a foundation to go further back, but you can only go so far back before you end up in your dad's tribal town instead of your mom's. So there's things before 1882 where they were trying to patrilinealize the towns. The federal government was, at least as far as their censuses were concerned. But 1882 onward to Campbell roll, that's where you're going to know what tribal town you actually belong to on the records. Okay, so go with that. Go start with the Campbell roll, work back to 1882, but go look at all the ones in between. 1890, 1895. I think it might be in 1896 as well. Anyways, there's records to look at. So, my voice just sucks right now. I hate it. Give me a second here. Hopefully this helps. All right. So I'm determined to finish this video because this issue matters a great deal to me, as it does to others. That's tribal town. And you go by the nearest matrilineal town. Now, if your mother's father's creek and your mother's mother is not, you go by your mother's father's town at that point. And he'd be going by his mother's mother's mother's, presumably, back to the beginning. So if you want to be a citizen of Thalblaco Tribal Town, for example, because in order to be a citizen of that federally recognized tribe within the Creek Nation, that's separately federally recognized, same with Alabama Casardi, and I think there might be one other, KLAG, yes. I think they do the same thing that Thalblaco does, where you literally have to be, yes, be your mother, or your mother can't be Indian, but your father can be, and he has to be Thalblaco. Anyways, the same concept would apply to tribal towns in general, which are now no longer considered tribal towns. When you go to Oklahoma and you say a tribal town, you live near Okemah, they think you're talking about the Golden Pony Casino. That's the ignorance that exists right now. Like I said, there's people that live in Oklahoma that don't even know the stuff that's right next to them. Okay. There's now what we think of as ceremonial grounds. That's what's left of the tribal towns, kind of the Indian churches as well. But again, that's a different story. Let's just say the ceremonial grounds. That's really what the tribal town kind of is now. It's not a physical location in the same sense. It's not a place where everyone lives. It's not an actual physical town that everyone who belongs to it lives in. But it used to be. That used to be how it was. Okay? And it was based off of ancestry. And it still is based off of ancestry. And that's why people want to know this sort of thing. And that's why it's important that the correct information gets out to them. Okay? There is no solid database that I'm aware of that actually collects all the clan data. And if it is, it's kind of under lock and key. And that's kind of the impression I got, is that maybe there were some records, but it's all under lock and key. But the reality is, I don't think that there's a comprehensive database of any sort. I think that there's like certain records that existed maybe in the late 1800s, maybe legacy Perryman said what clan he belonged to, which I think was Bird. And so anyone with a common matrilineal descent, like any of his sisters, direct female descendants, would have the same clan as him. You can pretty much reconstruct your knowledge of what clan you belong to, sometimes doing that, but not always. Not everyone has it documented back then. So not everyone's fortunate. If you forget what clan you are and your family forgets, and no one else in the tribal town or ceremonial grounds remembers that, or remembers your family because maybe your family hasn't been associated with it in generations, like my family has not been, then you might forget if someone in the family does not know. Thankfully, my great aunt Dutch told her kids and grandkids what clan we are. And that means that I can tell the rest of us now who have the same female lineage, guess what? You're Turtle Clan. And that is partly my job, is to do that. Okay? It's our job as Muscogee people who know this stuff to make sure the knowledge is passed on correctly. See, I have a cousin who thought that because we're descended from Chief Benjamin Perryman, and because Turtle Clan's a, it's an important clan, and because, her grandmother said that we're princesses and warriors. My grandmother said we're highborn. Same difference, basically. Worded differently, but it's the same thing. My cousin thought that, oh, well, we're Turtle Clan because of Chief Benjamin Perryman. No, we're not. We're not female line descendants of him, and even if we were, it's like we wouldn't have his clan. We'd have his wife's clan if that were the case, because she would be our female direct ancestor, but she's not. In my great-grandmother's father's father's mother's father. That's how we're descended. So it zigzags a couple times. So just because you have a famous ancestor does not mean that that's how you got your clan affiliation. Okay, just I have to clarify that. And I did clarify that with my cousin years ago on Facebook, politely, of course, because I love her and she's, she's my family, right? But I had to set the record straight. So I'll set the record straight with anybody. I don't care if they're older than me, younger than me, male, female. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to set the record straight, okay? Because I want to make sure the information gets out there correctly. So, and when I found out what clan I belonged to, when I really dug into that portion of my family and discussed with the siblings that knew, I didn't tell them the information that my mom told me. I got their information first. Then I compared it with my own. I did detective work. I was secretive for a minute. And then I told them what I knew. Because I wanted to make sure for myself that I knew that we actually that these stories were all consistent. And they basically are. So, my great grandmother told my mom. She asked her, do you know what's special about the turtle? About the turtle, right? And she's like, no, Grandma. It's like, oh, well, the turtle carries the world on its back. That sounds in the old legends. That's that kind of literal, okay? But it's also kind of metaphoric when you think of the importance of turtle as a clan, okay? And you look at the women in the family. It's like you definitely see that as being the case. So that's a for real thing. Anyways, Lord, please help me get over this stupid sickness. It always comes back. But anyways, so I'm able to verify what clan I belong to. I suspected wind for a time because of certain handwritten portions on certain family documents that don't otherwise make sense. They still don't make sense to me at this point because of what I've discovered. And so I'm turtle. Turtle and wind are related though. So like you can't marry into the other one. So just like bear and wolf are related, they can't intermarry. That would be considered clan incest. And that's one of the things I mentioned in this on this Facebook group is because somebody's kind of insisting to me, oh yeah, well these people that belong to the same town, they're pretty much all the same clan, and you belong to your mother's town and da 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 da. Like, okay, I'm like, yeah, well, part of your information is correct that yeah, you belong to your mother's town. And I kind of clarified that if your father's Creek and your mother's not, then you'd belong to your father's clan, or not clan, town. Okay. Although I've been told in person, and I also read in books, that you can claim your father's clan. But if it's your mother's father's clan, your mother never claimed her father's clan, would you be that clan? We wouldn't be grandfather of. It's like, you are a son or daughter of your father's clan. But you belong to your mother's clan. You are your mother's clan. You're a son of or daughter of your father's clan. And again, I guess you can claim your father's clan, but you would have to do that. Your kids are not going to be able to do that, I don't think. So, unless something's changed or unless there's a tradition that I have not heard of or read about. So, that's possible, but I don't believe that's the case. So, anyways, so people have these weird ideas like, oh yeah, I had to clarify, say no, you can be part of any town and be the same clan as somebody else in these other towns. You could be in the same town as other people and not be the same clan as them. It's very crucial because people married into the same town, but not the same clan. See, back in the old days, not today, but back in the old days, they would kill you. Or at the very least, they would cut you from neck to ankle across your back. You had a big fat scar if you survived. You might even be disabled if you survived. Because that's how seriously they took it. Because according to the legends I've read, the creator gave us the clans, said don't marry into your own clan, you'll destroy the clan. And if whether you believe the creator created the clans, as the stories say, or not, is irrelevant. The people believe that, and it was taken very seriously. So you don't marry into your own clan. It's like marrying your own brother or sister. Okay, So naturally, you're not going to have, not everyone in the same town is going to be the same clan. Otherwise, they have to keep constantly marrying outside their own village because the town was also a physical place back then. So just got to set the record straight on that. Again, I probably have on this channel anyway, but it's got to be done because that information has to be out there. And I know there's a lot of people right now. And again, this has nothing to do with Muscogee Creek Nation healthcare system. Okay, but this is what people are talking about on this this page, and it's good. It's good because it needs to be talked about. You go to stomp dancers, shell shakers, and stickballers, you're gonna have a harder time with that. I've seen that group kind of evolve and devolve and re-evolve over time. But yeah, and there's other groups like just Muscogee people or whatever, Muscogee Nation, the different Facebook groups that have been created that don't talk about this sort of thing. And the thing is, like, people have been very tight-lipped about that, about clans. And because of the political nature of some of them, back in the old days, the principal chief was always picked from the Wind Clan. There was no Beaver Clan or Raccoon Clan or Bear Clan that would be chosen as the principal chief of the entire nation. It was always the Wind Clan, Hodgulgi. Okay, that's the way it was. Because according to the legends, that was the first clan to actually see the wind blow the mist away from the caves that all of us were stuck in when the mist covered the land. Okay, so the wind is considered the aristocracy of the clans. It was then. I think those who know the old stories still know it now, but a lot of people don't know these things. But individual tribal towns or ceremonial grounds have their own system of who becomes the Miko, the town king, who could become the Hina or the second chief, and that it all is based off of clan. And then when that person dies, the next Miko is of the rotating clan. And then when he dies, it goes back to the first clan. And when he dies, it goes back to that second clan. And it keeps rotating back and forth. That's how it's supposed to be. So, and every ceremonial grounds has their own like leading clans. So not all of them say, oh, it's got to be wind. That's over the entire nation. That's not over every individual village or tribal town. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm giving you guys some history that is, it's very important. And I know that people want to have a connection with this part of our heritage, and rightly so. That's why I've studied this stuff to the best of my ability, living in California most of my life. It's why I asked questions when I lived in Oklahoma. I just didn't make it to the ceremonial grounds. I also had medical issues with my legs. I promised my Aunt Darlene I wasn't going to do any stomp dancing. I did when I first moved out there, but then the next year I didn't, and I promised her I wouldn't because she's like, no, you got to promise me, Little Brown Sugar, my nickname, because she would be upset if I hurt myself. And I obeyed her wishes, but I mean, now I could. Since then I moved and it's just, I'm on out there, but there's a lot of people that would like to do this, who would like to do the stomp dancing, who would like to know more about, the songs and learn the songs. I want to learn the songs. Okay. I'd love to have some kind of social stomp dance out here in California. That'd be so awesome. If every at-large Muscogee Nation, that's another group, Muscogee Citizens at Large, and I comment on this and I post things sometimes, I just don't get responses. And I'm really disappointed by the group in that sense. I know that Ann Townsend Edwards does a lot for our people, but I wish she did more in the group than just post things and then never respond. That's what it feels like. So, Miss Ann Townsend Edwards, if you're watching this, keep that in mind, because for a group like that to exist and really function properly, it can't just be a place where, it can't just be a bulletin board. It's got to be something where people respond. So on my YouTube channel, I'm always responding to all the comments. Maybe annoyingly so for those who might be my detractors. So I always respond, or at least click a like, something along those lines, because I want people to know that I'm paying attention to what they're saying. And I want to keep the conversation going. And so that's why I'm doing this video, is so anybody else watching this, and some of you have been watching already understand this stuff. You already get this stuff. Some of you don't. Some of you maybe haven't heard of this. This might not be, like your 10th video of mine or 20th video that you've watched. Okay, this could be like your second or third video. And so you may not know the other stuff that I've posted in the past. And you may not know the current conversations that are going on in these groups. And that's why I'm doing this, is so you can get the conversation, so you can understand what's going on. And so that way you're armed with correct information. And if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, do some research. Do some research. I guarantee you, if you do any real research on the subject, you're going to find that I'm telling you the truth. I know there's people in Oklahoma that if you say, oh, well, you are a son or daughter of your father's clan, they say, oh, no, you belong to your mother's clan. It's like, well, yeah, you belong to your mother's clan. You are that clan, but you're a son or daughter of your father's clan as well. The term son of and daughter of is used historically, and it's also been used in the Muscogee Nation news obituaries. I saw it like 11 years ago or something when I was at my Aunt Arlene's. And I remember that specifically as some lady was a daughter of alligator, if I recall correct. 7/8 Creek. Okay. I can only imagine that her maternal line great-grandmother was probably white or black and therefore had no clan. So that's probably why she's daughter of alligator, not, bear clan or wind clan, daughter of alligator. Because I've seen that as well, where someone, it mentions their clan, but it also mentions that they're, daughter of or son of their, the other clan. So these terms are important to be aware of, because if you're unaware of these terms, as a lot of people in the tribe are at this point, you're not going to understand what you're reading, and you're not going to understand what people are talking about when they do talk about it. And so I'm some Statkihaya, white-made Muscogee man living here in California, but because I read books and I watch videos on the subject, I increase my knowledge, because I know that at some point I'm going to be sharing this knowledge, at least with my own, family, if not anybody else. And not even my entire family, not all my cousins, because they don't all watch this channel. I don't know if anybody watches this channel. My family watches this channel. But, and I also haven't posted on social media yet. There's a lot of videos. I've mentioned a couple of my cousins, and I they might take offense at me mentioning them. I don't know. And I hope that's not the case. But, it's just, I do want the information to exist. At some point, I'll probably introduce them to the channel, and they'll be like, oh, why did she post this before? Don't want anybody to be mad at me in case I mentioned them by name and they didn't like what I had to say for whatever reason. So that's it. So, but anybody else who's Muscogee who wants to know about this, anybody who's not Muscogee who's still curious about this, but especially for those who are Muscogee and who want to know more about our cultural roots, our traditions, certain nuances, that's why this video exists. And it's to address the same issues that I'm reading right now on this Facebook group. Issues that need to be quashed. It's good that somebody's asking and that somebody can read that and go, oh, so that person's wrong, this person's right. It's not because I'm trying to be like number one, I'm the most correct person in the world, or whatever. It has to do with, I want you to know, not what I think. Okay, that's the difference here. There's some things I know, and there's some things that I think. Okay, I know how the clan system works. I know how the tribal town system works as far as how you acquire tribal town affiliation. I have some understanding of the naming conventions, how we get our names. And a lot of people want their Indian name. I want my Indian name. But as I understand, I got to go to 4 green corns in order to get that. So, because number 4 is sacred. And you got to be going to the green corn. Okay? So, if any of you are watching this and I've answered any of your questions, and you got more questions, feel free to ask, because I'm happy to do what I can. I've already made a couple friends that I talk to through Facebook Messenger regularly about the subjects or the subjects on this channel, and which is great. So I'm making friends, and it's building community, and I want to keep doing that. I want people to be able to get this stuff, and they can share it with their kids. And if they don't know where to look, maybe they can now know where to look. And they might hit a dead end. They may never know what clan they belong to, and that sucks. Okay, I'm so blessed to know that. Okay, and to know enough about how the traditions work to know that some of the cousins that know what clan we are incorrect about how they thought we got the clan, as far as, you know, again, our chiefly ancestor. Okay, not from him that we got it, even if he was Turtle Clan. You know, he's a zigzag ancestor, not a direct matrilineal ancestor. So anyways, let me know what you all think, and yeah, let me know what you think. And I hope to get some questions, because when I'm asked questions, I start researching things that I don't know about, because I want to know. And one of my friends has asked me about the Indian Child Welfare Act, and I did a little bit of research, and I've got an opinion about that. And that would be for another video, though. And I want to do a little more research even still before I make that video, so I can provide you guys with more specific facts about things. So, because it matters. It affects all of us who are Native. It affects me. It affects my children. Well, my son, you know, my biological son. You know, it affects a lot of things. And if it gets struck down, that can affect a lot of things. So, but that's for a later video. Thank you all for watching. Mado. I'll talk to you next time. Have a great night.